The text on my phone blurred as the photos loaded one by one. My parents' beaming faces, my sister's perfectly posed arm around my brother, champagne glasses raised in a toast, all of them celebrating at my brother's new apartment at the exact moment they were supposed to be at mine. My fingers tightened around the phone until my knuckles burned white. In my pristine kitchen, a feast I'd spent 2 days preparing sat untouched on gleaming platters. Candles that had burned for hours now melted into sad puddles of wax. The banner I'd hung, "Home Sweet Home," seemed to mock me from across the room. I scrolled through more photos, each one a fresh wound, my mother kissing my brother's cheek, my father's proud hand on his shoulder, my sister's caption beneath it all, "So proud of our golden boy. Finally settled into his new place. Family over everything. Family over everything, except me." My name is Natalie. I'm 27 and a financial analyst. This is the story of how I learned that true power isn't in seeking approval. It's in walking away when you're not valued. I'd bought this apartment entirely on my own. No co-signers, no family loans, no help. For years, I'd watched my parents celebrate my brother Ryan's every minor achievement while treating my accomplishments as expected and unremarkable. When I closed on this place, I thought, finally, something they couldn't ignore, something that would make them see me. I'd invited them 6 weeks in advance, sent reminder texts, called to confirm. We wouldn't miss it for anything. My mother had promised 3 days earlier, yet here they were, glasses raised at Ryan's hastily planned housewarming, an apartment he'd signed for just last week. None of them had even bothered to text me an excuse. I set down my phone and moved methodically through my silent apartment, blowing out candles, covering food, turning off music. The space that was supposed to echo with congratulations and laughter now amplified my solitude. I was switching off the last light when my phone lit up with notifications. "Mom, we need to talk now." "Dad, call your mother immediately." Ryan, "Hey sis, kind of in a situation, need to talk ASAP." After ignoring me all evening, suddenly I was urgently needed. I switched my phone to silent and placed it face down on my nightstand. Whatever crisis they were facing, it could wait until morning, just as I had waited all evening for a family that never arrived. Sunlight streamed through my new curtains when I finally checked my phone. 27 missed calls, 43 text messages, 6 voicemails, all from my mother, each more frantic than the last. I made coffee and sat by the window, scrolling through the messages while the morning light warmed my face. "Mom, Natalie, this is serious. Call me back." "Mom, why are you ignoring us when we need you?" "Dad, your brother is in trouble. Stop being childish and pick up." I played the most recent voicemail. My mother's voice trembled, stripped of its usual superiority. "Natalie, something's happened. It's about Ryan's apartment. We need your help. It's urgent. Please call me back." I almost laughed. Help. They needed my help. The same people who couldn't spare 3 hours for my housewarming now expected me to drop everything for them. I sipped my coffee, savoring the bitter warmth as I let the message repeat. By noon, curiosity won out. I answered my mother's next call. "Natalie, thank God." She breathed. "We've been trying to reach you all night." "I was busy," I replied, my voice deliberately flat. "What's so urgent?" "It's about Ryan's apartment," she whispered as though someone might overhear. "There's been a complication with the financing." "What kind of complication?" "The bank called yesterday. They're questioning some of the information on his application, something about income verification." Her voice dropped even lower. "He might have exaggerated a few details." I closed my eyes. Of course. Ryan had lied on his mortgage application, and now they wanted me to help fix it. "And this concerns me how?" I asked. "We thought..." She paused. "We thought you might be able to help with some of the payments, just until he gets back on his feet." "You want me to pay for his apartment? After you all skipped my housewarming to celebrate his?" Silence stretched between us. Then my father's voice boomed suddenly on speakerphone. "Don't be dramatic, Natalie. We had to support your brother. This is his first big step. You know how important this is to him. And my housewarming wasn't important? That's different. My mother jumped in. You're established, independent. You don't need the same support. So established that you now need my money, I said quietly. It's just family helping family, my father insisted. You've always been the responsible one, the sensible one. Sensible enough to buy an apartment I can actually afford. My mother's voice hardened. Natalie, don't be difficult. You're single, no kids, good job, you can spare it. Family sticks together. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. Family sticks together? You couldn't even stick to your promise to attend my housewarming. You toasted Ryan while I sat alone with a table full of food no one ate, and now you want my money. The silence that followed tasted like fear. Natalie, my father finally said, his voice unnaturally gentle. Don't make this harder than it has to be. It's just money. Exactly, I replied, ice coating each word. My money, my life, and for once, it's not yours to take. I hung up before they could respond, my hand shaking not from guilt, but from something unfamiliar. Power. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten daughter begging for scraps of attention. I was the one they needed, and I had just denied them. The next morning, I awoke to more missed calls and a growing sense of satisfaction. The tables had finally turned, and for once, I wasn't the one left waiting and wondering. The knocking started at 7:42 the next morning. I peered through the peephole to see my mother standing in the hallway, her hair unusually disheveled, her smile strained as she raised her hand to knock again. I opened the door just wide enough to block the entrance. It's early. I've been calling all night, she said, forcing brightness into her voice. You weren't answering. I was sleeping. Some of us have work today. She glanced past me into the apartment. Can I come in? We need to talk. We talked yesterday. Her smile tightened. Natalie, sweetheart, I don't think you understand how serious this is. Your brother could lose everything. He should have thought about that before signing papers he couldn't afford. We told him you'd help, she blurted out. You've always been the dependable one. Please, Natalie, just a little loan. We'll pay you back. The word loan hit me like a slap. I thought of the birthdays they'd missed, the graduations they'd left early, the years they'd spent telling me I'd never shine as brightly as Ryan. Funny, I said. How I'm dependable when you need money, but invisible when I need support. Behind her, the elevator doors opened, and my father stepped into the hallway, his face tight with frustration. Enough games, Natalie. This family needs your help. No, I said, the word strangely liberating. What this family needs is to understand consequences. My mother's eyes glistened. We're your parents. You owe us. I owe you? I laughed incredulously. You owe me 15 years of dinners where I sat ignored. You owe me every holiday where I was too boring to be noticed. And you owe me an apology that I know will never come. My father stepped forward. You can't turn your back on family. Watch me. I shut the door firmly, the sound of the lock sliding into place like the period at the end of a sentence I'd waited my whole life to say. For the next 3 days, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Relatives I hadn't heard from in years suddenly found my number. My parents must have called a family meeting and shared my number with everyone who might influence me. Aunt Karen. Your parents are devastated. How could you abandon your brother like this? Uncle Tom. Family takes care of family. Don't be selfish. Cousin Emily. Ryan's under so much stress. Can't you just help a little? I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I focused on my life, the one I'd built without their help. I worked, met friends for dinner, and spent evenings in my apartment surrounded by furniture I'd chosen, art I'd hung, in a space that belonged solely to me. On the 4th day, I listened to a voicemail from my mother that made me pause. Natalie, please. Her voice cracked. The bank is threatening foreclosure. If word gets out, it'll ruin us. People will know Ryan failed. We can't let that happen. Please think about the family name. The family name. The same name that had been used to exclude me, to compare me unfavorably, to remind me I wasn't special enough. Now it was being wielded as leverage to make me comply. That night, I pulled out the paperwork for my apartment, the deed with only my name on it, the mortgage I paid alone, the savings account statement showing I'd done it all without touching the emergency fund I'd built over years of careful planning. I took a photo of the deed, my name boldly printed at the top. I typed a caption, "Built this life without anyone's help. Some stories tell themselves." I didn't post it, not yet, but I saved it, finger hovering over the share button, savoring the power of knowing I could. 2 weeks into this standoff, the calls became more desperate. On Saturday morning, my brother himself finally called. I answered on the third ring. Natalie. His voice was thinner than I remembered, the usual swagger replaced with something that sounded suspiciously like fear. "We need to talk." "We're talking now." "About the apartment. Things are complicated." "So I've heard." He sighed heavily. "Look, I know we've had our differences, but you can't just sit back and watch me lose everything. You're my sister. You're supposed to help." I let his words hang in the air between us, then calmly, "Did you think about me when you all skipped my housewarming? When you celebrated your new place while I sat alone with enough food to feed 20 people? Was I your sister then?" The silence stretched so long I thought he might have hung up. "It wasn't my idea," he finally mumbled. "Mom and Dad insisted. And you went along with it, like you always do when it benefits you." "That's not fair." "None of this is fair, Ryan. That's the point." After we hung up, I opened my social media app and looked at the photo I'd saved 2 weeks earlier. The deed to my apartment with my name bold and clear, paired with the caption I'd written, "Built this life alone. Some stories tell themselves." I hit share. Within hours, the notifications flooded in. Friends from work commenting with fire emojis and congratulations. College classmates I hadn't spoken to in years, sending messages of support. Even distant relatives chiming in. Some shocked, some supportive, all of them suddenly very aware of my achievement. By morning, my mother's text arrived, just as I'd expected. "Natalie, take that post down immediately. People are asking questions. You're humiliating us." I replied, "Funny. I remember feeling the same way when you all humiliated me. Difference is, I have proof, and I'm not deleting it." The weight shifted again. For years, they had held power over me with their silence, their favoritism, their exclusion. But now their silence was the prison, and I was the one holding the key. The ripple effects spread quickly. My cousin texted that people at church were whispering about how my parents had forgotten their own daughter's housewarming. She'd heard it during Sunday service when 2 ladies behind her couldn't stop discussing it. My sister's roommate mentioned that coworkers were questioning my brother about moving into an apartment he couldn't afford without begging his sister for help. Word had gotten around their office after Ryan had taken several panicked calls from the bank during work hours. I hadn't said anything beyond that single caption, but the truth, paired with silence, was more damning than any explanation I could have offered. 3 weeks after my post, the knocking returned, more insistent this time. Through the peephole, I saw them all. My parents, Ryan, and my sister Olivia. I hadn't seen all 4 of them together since Christmas. I opened the door and leaned against the frame, arms crossed. Well, if it isn't the family that suddenly remembers where I live. My mother's mascara was smudged, her hands twisting nervously at her sides. "Natalie, please. You have to take down that post. We can't go anywhere without people whispering. Your brother's reputation is ruined. We're drowning in humiliation." "Sounds painful," I said quietly. "Being ignored. Feeling humiliated. I wonder what that's like." My father, his voice usually commanding, sounded deflated. "We made a mistake. We should have been here for you, but don't destroy us over one night." I let them stand in the hallway, the irony hanging thick in the air. One night, for them, it was one night. For me, it had been years of nights, birthdays, holidays, achievements systematically minimized or ignored. "You taught me I was disposable," I said finally. "Now everyone sees the truth. You disposed of me first." Ryan tried to step forward. "Nat, please." I raised my hand. "You don't get to rewrite this anymore. You left me alone once. Now you get to feel what that's like." Their eyes dropped, heavy with the weight of a shame they'd never had to carry before. I shut the door gently, not with anger, but with finality. 6 months passed, and Thanksgiving arrived with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. My apartment glowed with warmth, candles lit, music playing softly, laughter spilling from the kitchen where friends helped prepare dishes they'd brought to share. The table was full, not just with food, but with people who valued my presence. During dessert, my phone buzzed with a text. A cousin had sent a photo from my parents' house. A sad-looking turkey burned at the edges. Ryan and Olivia glaring at each other across the table. My parents forcing smiles through obvious tension. The caption read, "It's not the same without you." I didn't reply because, for once, that was the truth. They had built their family image, their celebrations, their sense of superiority on my silence and my compliance. And when I stopped showing up, everything they thought was solid had collapsed. Later that night, after my friends had gone and the apartment had quieted, I stood by my window overlooking the city lights. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from my mother. "Natalie." Her voice heavy with what sounded like genuine regret. "I'm sorry. We should have been there. We lost sight of what mattered. Please call me." I didn't. Not because I couldn't forgive, but because some lessons need time to be truly learned. The empty chair at their table, the whispers in their social circle, the silence of a daughter who finally chose herself. They had wanted me invisible. Instead, I'd built a life too bright for them to dim. And in the glow of my own making, I realized I wasn't the forgotten one anymore. I was the one who had walked away. As for Ryan, I later heard through my sister that he'd lost the apartment after the bank completed their investigation. He moved back in with our parents temporarily, a humbling experience for someone who'd been so proud of his falsified independence. The mortgage fraud investigation had concluded with him paying a substantial fine rather than facing criminal charges, a consequence that seemed fitting for his deception. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.